friends, Jenny at Clover and Violet here, and today I'm going to be teaching you how I cut fussy cut pieces from fabric. So you're going to need a few things to cut your fabrics. First, you're going to need some fabrics with cute little motifs. Now don't worry if you don't have a lot of fabrics with fussy cut motifs on them. You can use regular prints, which I do as well, just like this. And I'm just going to show you how I use my rulers and how I cut these little fabrics and how I lay them out to make the most of the motifs on the fussy cut. So the supplies you're going to need are either, if you have a ruler the size of your fussy cut, you can use that. This is a 3.5 inch ruler. The pieces I showed you are 2.5 inches, but whatever size you want to make your fussy cuts, you can buy a specialty ruler like this, or I'll be showing you how I use my regular ruler and some washi tape to center my fussy cut pieces on my fabric. I love using fussy cuts because they just give your piece that special touch. They are a great addition to patchwork, and let's just face it, they're super cute. So let's head to the cutting table and I'll show you how I fussy cut fabrics. Let's get started with cutting our fussy cuts. So I wanted to show you first the block that I made. I'm going to be making a second one of these. So we have 16 squares and they're 2.5 inches, and I've done my best to center all of my fussy cuts within the 2.5 inches, but they're not always in the center. So you can see this one is off to the side. I just do it the best use of both my fabric and the piece that we're going to be showing. So we're going to make another one of these. I have my ruler, and so this is a regular 4.5 by 8.5 inch ruler, and I've marked off a 2.5 inch square with washi tape. So if you don't have a specialized ruler for fussy cutting, this is a great option. And then I also have this little 2.5 inch square ruler, which is excellent for fussy cutting as well. You can see that these two spots are the same size. So I'm going to show you how I cut using both of these so that you can use whatever you have. I'm going to cut one of these cute kittens and have my iron ready. I'm just going to iron a little section of it so that when I make my cut, my fabric isn't wrinkled. Sometimes I cut fabric that isn't ironed, which is probably crazy, but when I'm cutting a fussy cut that's this small, I definitely want to make sure that my piece is ready. So let's cut this one using this little square. So in this square, since it's 2.5 inch and each of these sections is a 1/2 inch, so you can see all of these, you'll know that this is the very center, right? And so then this is the center and this is the center. So I can just line up my little bunny like that. These pieces are not perfectly, not that they're not perfectly square. These bunnies and cats are kind of on the diagonal. So I have two options. I can either rotate my ruler so that she is straight up and down, or I can go with the grain of the fabric, which is this. You can see the weave of it. The grain is actually this direction as well. Yeah, this direction. But instead of cutting her square, and this piece could stretch a little, I'm just going to cut her with the weave of the fabric. So on this ruler, this section right here is the center. Anything that's outside of the 1/4 inch is not going to appear on my cut when I sew it. So we'll just take and cut around this little bunny. And then I'm going to rotate my fabric. You could also use a rotating cutting mat, but that's not necessary. I'm going to rotate my fabric, lay it back down, make sure that this is lined up again where it was, and then cut the other sides. And there we have our 2.5 inch square with our cute little bunny inside of it. Now, my fabric looks like this, but I have this cute piece that I'm going to actually use. So sometimes I don't like to fussy cut, especially pieces that are special or like this fabric I've had for a while and can't get any more of. But if I just save it forever, I'm also not using it. So if I have a special project like this that I do want to cut pieces for, I will go ahead and fussy cut those rather than leave them unused. So that's how I would fussy cut using this square to make sure that our little character is in the middle. Next, let's fussy cut using this piece and make sure our character is in the middle. Okay, so I have these cute strawberries, and I am going to cut a little bunch out of these as well. So I'm just going to iron them again. And this time, instead of using this 2.5 inch square ruler, I'm going to use my taped ruler so I can show you how I use that. So first we're going to want to see which strawberries fit. These ones actually look like a great fit right here. You can see that the very edge of the strawberry is near this 1/4 inch line on both sides. So this strawberry is going to go right to the edge of our block. So I think we could also use this strawberry. And now you see this one at our 1/4 inch line. These strawberries are way inside the line. But since I'm fussy cutting, I do like to get as close to the edge as possible. So let's look at these. And I think this one is going to be my choice. You can see that I have a good 1/2 inch here and a 1/2 inch here where the strawberries are not touching the edge. And then same with the top and the bottom. So I'm just going to cut around. Now for this ruler, what I'm going to do is cut this part right here, and then we'll just gently turn it and cut this part here. And then I'm going to turn my block this direction and line up my ruler again. So now my cut edges are going to line up with my tape. Okay, and then I'm just going to cut again and make the last cut. There we go. Okay, so here are my strawberries. So you can see now I have 2 fussy cuts. Perfect. And let's look back at our original block. So you can see that not every single piece on this block is fussy cut, right? Like these are just some flowers. I just tried to center them. This is an all over pattern. So is this and this and this and this. This is kind of an all over pattern. So is this one, but I centered these. So I like to do a mix of cute small prints and the fussy cut pictures. And the reason I like to mix the two is because I feel like that makes the pictures stand out more versus every single piece being a cut of a picture. So I'm going to mix those again with this next block as well. Okay, so I'm just going to grab a couple of all over prints. Now these prints that I cut before are a little more mint than these prints are blue. So I'm just going to mix it up a little bit. So I'm going to grab a couple bluer prints. For this particular fussy cut block that I'm making, I kind of just want the colors to be a mix match of what I'm using, right? So I'm not trying to keep it too closely monochromatic. So we'll just go in here, and this is a pretty clean edge. So I'm just going to use that as my edge, but I have this cut right here that I made. Let me move these guys so I don't accidentally chop them. And let me iron my fabric. You know you're sewing in real time with me when I'm forgetting the things. Okay. All right, so for this block, I know I'm gonna be trimming, I'm just gonna cut this whole square since I'm just cutting off of the edge. So I can move that out of the way. And then I'll trim it now to be square because I just wanted to cut that little bit off. So when I'm cutting a fabric that is not a fussy cut print, I like to just cut near the edge because that will save you the most fabric. All right, so we'll add that little one up there. And then let's cut these cute bows. Now this one has the pinked edge. So again, let me iron it a little bit. Okay. And again, I am going to make sure that the pinked edge is into my tape when I cut this out, and then I'm going to trim that off. So again, I'm just going to cut the corner or near the edge, and then we'll rotate this block around. And cut it one more time. And you may have noticed that I did not use the 2.5-inch square for cutting these print pieces that are not the fussy cuts, because I actually prefer that I can cut past it on the ruler versus cutting all the way around it for this square. So if you do have the 2.5-inch square, the ruler is still my preferred when I'm cutting the squares that are just all over print. But you of course can do it with this ruler as well. And that is how we fussy cut our fabrics, and then you can put them together until you have your squares just like this one. So I'm going to cut a few more and sew them together, and then I'll have my second aqua colored block. All right, I hope that helped you to look at your fabric in a new way and really find some cute motifs and how you can really center those and make them the star of the show. So happy fussy cutting, and I can't wait to see your blocks.